This is a relatively short story, so this won't be a long video. But I do want to mention this because this is more DEI. This is what DEI gets you. A female cop shoots an innocent man with his own weapon. This is a guy who went through a traffic stop, and I'll read the story, but I'll just give you a quick synopsis here. Man goes through a traffic stop in Florida. Now, if you don't know about Florida, Florida does have conceal and carry, so you don't have to have a permit. Just being a Florida resident who is a non-felon Florida resident means that you can pack heat and you don't have to show it. So when you're pulled over by a police officer and they walk up to the window and you wisely are showing your hands, and this is something that I learned and probably anybody else that's taken a class on this stuff, when the cop comes up, usually you keep your hands at 10 and 2 on the wheel, or in my case, I roll down the window and turn to the left and put both hands on my open window, like the door jamb. So kind of like you're grabbing the window like this off to your side with it open, and you put your hands there. And when the officer walks up, you say, "Officer, on my right hip, I am carrying. I have a permit for it," or, in Florida's case, it is loaded. What would you like me to do? How would you like me to handle this for your safety? If you say that to a police officer, no issues. Doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're black, doesn't matter if you're Asian, doesn't matter. If you say those words to a cop, that's a cop that says, okay, this guy understands my situation. This guy's looking out for me. He's aware of what I might be thinking. It's like a he knows that I know that he knows that I know kind of thing. And it has happened to me where I was carrying, a cop pulled me over. I guess I was speeding. If I remember correctly, I rolled through a stop sign. I don't remember exactly. He pulled me over. I rolled down my window. I put my hands on the side window, and he came up and he said, I pulled you over. And I said, "Officer, before I answer any questions, I want you to know I have a concealed carry permit. It is on my right hip. It is. I have one in the chamber. How would you like me to proceed? Or how would you like?" He said, "Go ahead. You're fine." That's what he said to me. Now, maybe he said that because of my skin color or because I'm an old dude, but he might have responded that way because of the way I dealt with him right off the bat. Well, anyway, long story here, but anyway, my whole point is they pull a guy that had gone through a stop sign. He was legally carrying. He tells the cop, "Hey, I got one on my hip." The cop says, "Okay, get out, put your hands in the air, just for my safety. You're not under arrest or anything like that. Put your hands in the air." And then he asks the female partner, "Go ahead and take it off him while we're doing our traffic stop, and then you can get it back." Now, she probably took it away from him because he's a black guy. If I'm just to be honest, she probably did. But while she's trying to wrestle it off his hip, she jams her finger inside the trigger guard and tries to remove it by lifting on the trigger, which, as you know, if you put 5 pounds, 2.5 to 6 pounds of pressure on most triggers, boom, and she puts one right into his leg. Florida cop accidentally shoots driver with his own hole puncher during a routine traffic stop. I'm just going to play the video here. Let me bring this up to a full screen here. So this is the cop right off the bat saying, "I appreciate that you're being cool with this," and here's the camera from a couple different camera angles. This is why women shouldn't be cops, by the way.
I
appreciate that being very honest.
Oh, you're all right. You okay? Hey. Put the gun down.
Put it down.
You okay?
You got shot in the leg.
Risk 1068.
Issue 2162.
Now that first part goes by pretty quick, so it's hard to see what happens. But as this is from why does this not let me drag? Oh, it's not going to let me drag. Anyway, this is at one cop walking around the corner, and this officer's over here, just making sure everything's cool. This woman is the one removing it, and she literally just pulls on it and pow, right into his thigh. And it hit the artery in his thigh, and they had to put a tourniquet on him. This guy almost bled out because she doesn't know how to handle a weapon properly.
I appreciate that being very honest.
Oh, you're all right. You okay? Hey. Put the gun down.
Now, they do show it from another angle here. And she's just like, what am I doing? Standing there holding it.
Issue 2162. Rescue 1068, 1020.
So this is the gentleman. This is the guy, officer, that's actually going up to the window for the interaction. This is why, and I've got another story that is historical. It's a couple years old now, but I'll reiterate.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Where's your pistol at?
On my side.
Okay. Just put your hands on the top of the vehicle for me. I appreciate that being very honest.
you're all right.
You okay? Put the gun down. Put the gun down. You okay? No. Hey, rescue 1068. Let's go.
So there's another angle of it. I don't know if they have it. Let me see if I can find it. There was another angle of it where they show it from her body camera. They say police department in Florida is moving to fire an officer after she accidentally shot a man with his own long-range hole puncher during a routine traffic stop last month. Officer Mindy Cardwell was called to assist with a traffic stop on December 13th. He'd been pulled over by an officer for running a red light. He was fully cooperating with all three officers, the body camera footage showed. He had informed the cop who originally pulled him over that he did, in fact, have a concealed holstered hole puncher in his waistband. After he'd exited the car, Cardwell went to remove it, but while she was trying to take it off his hip, it discharged and he was shot in the upper thigh. It's unclear if it had his safety on or off before she tried to grab it or before she grabbed it. One of the officers told Cardwell to drop it as they helped Arrington hobble over to sit on the side of the road. Blood was already soaking through his pants as the cops started addressing his wound. It had gone through the round, went through his upper thigh and exited his inner leg, causing an alarming arterial bleed that officers were able to stupor with a tourniquet. What would have happened if it had just been her? What if it had happened, or what would have happened if it had been her and another female officer? Would they have been able to carry this huge guy off of the highway, or would they have let him fall into the road? Would they have been smart enough with their knowledge to apply a tourniquet until an ambulance could show up? We could argue about the merits and the facts, but the fact that she doesn't even know proper weapon handling and could have very easily ended this guy. He was transported to a nearby hospital. He's expected to make a full recovery, but he's filed a lawsuit against the JSO. He's specifically citing his lasting injuries, which he said has impeded his ability to work as a crane operator. Well, if it screws up your leg and you've got pedals on a crane to use, and if you're a good crane operator, maybe you get $100,000 a year. I hope this guy gets several million. That's what DEI gets you. Investigation by Internal Affairs found that Cardwell has been incompetent and moved to terminate her. Ironically, this is the photo, the thumbnail photo I put up. She was brought in October 1st of 2018. So she's been with them for 6 years. 6 years. And if you remember this Kim Potter, this is why they had more BLM protests several years ago, because she was found guilty of ending a dude because the guy was being combative, and I think somewhere in the vehicle may have been a hole puncher, as we say for YouTube, but he was being combative, but he didn't have anything in his hands, nor was he a direct threat to the police officers. He was wrestling them a little bit. I'm not trying to say Dante Wright was the good guy here. He was definitely criminal. He was definitely fighting the cops. But if you remember, this woman in one hand had a taser, and the other hand had a long-range hole puncher. And she says, taser, taser, taser. And then she pulled the wrong trigger on the wrong one, and she ended the life. And this is from 2021. Mistakenly drew her hand instead of her taser, and now she was found guilty. But I still believe women should not be police officers, because and I would listen to an argument. I would listen to an argument if somebody said, "Hey Joker, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I say, "I want to be a cop." And they said, "You're 5'7" in thick socks. You're not a very big guy. You're going to have to train in jujitsu and martial arts and hit the gym and become super strong, but you're still not an imposing figure. And so if you need to take down a big dude, you may not. And if he overpowers you, you may need to resort to the hole puncher to save yourself. And while that may be legal, maybe if I was a bigger cop and a stronger cop and a bigger guy, I wouldn't need to move to last resort situation, right? Women are smaller. Women are weaker. Women are more timid. Women are more afraid. Women think with their emotions more than logic. If a woman, it's much more likely that a woman will be scared or intimidated or threatened or anything else you say if she's a little 5'5" cop that weighs 125 pounds and you're a big burly dude that's a little rambunctious. This is from just a couple years ago. Increasing women policing recruits to 30% could help change department's culture. We don't need a change in culture. This isn't about culture. It's not about good feelings. It's not about a friendly and healthy environment to work in. It's cops going after bad dudes. Now, should the cops have mental health if they need it and counseling if they've had a situation? Hell yeah, of course they do. You know, cops overwhelmingly have domestic problems with their wives. They drink a lot. They self-delete a lot. They are not in a good place. So I'm all for that. But what makes you think you should start bringing women into that environment? Why must women be forced into something that women just aren't naturally drawn to? Why force them in there? Unless, in this case, they're a woman that likes other women. They say at the Police Training Academy in Madison, Wisconsin, there are 46 recruits and 2 groups for the class of 2022. Nikki Acker, 36, is one of the 9 trainees, female trainees. And they even say down here, Acker, who used to be a teller at a credit union and worked in property management. She's 5'4" and never imagined being a police officer until she got a job working as a clerk in the records department. What are the odds a big, tall, muscular, angry dude is going to listen to some diminutive, tiny 5'4" chick? And again, I'm not even shaming necessarily the women on this. If somebody said to me, hey, there's a 6'4" dude that looks like he eats nails for breakfast, do you really think you're going to have a chance to arrest him? My answer would be like, nope. All right, well, what if he comes after you? Are you going to fight him off? Nah, I'd probably have to end him. I'd probably have to pull out a long-range hole puncher, which is why I'm not a cop. I used to be in the military, but that was on a base. It was secure. You had a couple of bar fights, a couple of domestics, nothing big. But would I be a street cop? Oh, hell no. So what makes them think putting a tiny little 5'4" woman on this job? She's like, oh, I just used to be doing background stuff, and I decided I wanted to be on the front lines. Why? Because I want to be. Yeah, but why? Because I deserve to. No, you don't. Some things are just not okay to do. Some jobs are just not okay for women. And I'll take all the hate in the world from the feminists. Look, if you're a 6'8" butch feminist who can bench press a Cadillac, go ahead and be a firefighter. More power to you. I don't care. If you're a 5'6" dude that looks like me, or maybe a slightly more muscular Ben Shapiro, I don't want you to be a firefighter. I don't want you to try to carry me out of a building, because you can't. That's why I'm not a firefighter. It has nothing to do with what's between your legs. It has everything to do with how big you are and how strong you are and how good a fire person or a police person you are. But I don't think women belong in these roles, and pigeonholing them in and forcing them in where they don't belong, we don't need that. We just don't. But the program aims to have women making up 30% of the recruits and police training classes by 2030. Why? Why do you need 30% of women being cops? Why? Well, because representation. No. It's not like that out there in the streets. It doesn't matter your representation. This forced change, we must force all the rules and force all the things. Let's not pretend this is working out great. There are so many stories. I could have pulled up a dozen incidents where women have accidentally ended somebody or pulled out their long-range hole punchers out of fear or out of aggression or out of frustration, and then somebody gets hurt. Women shouldn't be cops. This woman almost ended a dude for just trying to remove something off his hip. a concealed hole puncher off his hip. She almost ended him. Almost ended the guy. No more cops. No more female cops. Let's end. And no more tiny cops. Get away from these munchkin cops that have Napoleon syndrome. Big cops that can handle themselves. Big firefighters that can handle themselves. The rest of them, you want to put a woman it's investigating or criminal investigation or doing crime scene stuff, that's fine. Not on traffic stops. Not on the front lines. That's all I'm saying.